You're lying in bed, the lights are off, and somewhere in the dark, your body still tenses at a sound you can't identify. You know it's probably nothing, a pipe, the house settling, a car outside, but some part of your brain won't fully relax until you check. That reaction isn't a personality quirk. It isn't something you learn from a scary movie. It's older than language, older than fire, older than your species, in fact, because the thing you're afraid of used to be real. Here's the disruption. For most of human evolutionary history, the dark wasn't just uncomfortable. It was, statistically, one of the most dangerous times to be alive. Not because of ghosts or superstition, because of teeth. In the 1970s and 80s, researchers working at Swartkrans Cave in South Africa began pulling early hominin fossils out of the ground with a disturbing pattern stamped into them. Puncture marks, spacing consistent with canine teeth, not from other hominins, from big cats. Paleoanthropologist C.K. Brain, who led much of this research, proposed that a significant number of the hominins found at the site, some dated to nearly 1.8 million years ago, weren't buried there. They were dragged there, eaten there, by leopards who used the cave as a den. This is the part that reframes everything. You are descended from a lineage of animals that was, for a large stretch of its history, prey. Not apex predator, prey. And prey animals that survive share one trait. They're afraid of the right thing, at the right time, without having to think about it. Nighttime was the wrong time to be careless. Large cats like leopards and lions do most of their hunting between dusk and dawn. Human night vision, by comparison, is poor. Your eyes rely heavily on cone cells, which need light to function, unlike the rod-dense eyes of nocturnal predators built to see you before you see them. In the dark, you were effectively blind. They weren't. But here's where it gets stranger. Fear of darkness didn't stay fixed at avoid open ground at night. It shaped where entire populations chose to live. At Wonderwork Cave, also in South Africa, archaeologists found something remarkable. Burned bone and ash residue dated to roughly 1 million years ago, among the earliest solid evidence of controlled fire use by hominins. Not just fire that happened to burn nearby, fire that was managed, maintained, brought inside a shelter. Fire didn't just provide warmth or cooked food. It did something more specific. It pushed back the range of the dark. Predators like lions and hyenas show measurable aversion to open flame, staying at a distance most nights instead of approaching. For a species with weak claws, no fangs, and mediocre night vision, a burning branch was the closest thing to a superpower. That's not the whole story, though. Fire had to be tended. It had to be fed, watched, kept alive through the hours when everyone was most vulnerable, which meant someone had to stay awake while others slept. Anthropologist Polly Wisner, studying the modern Juhansi people of the Kalahari, documented something telling. Nighttime, not daytime, was when this group did the majority of their storytelling, gossip, and social bonding around fire. Darkness didn't just create fear. It created a very specific kind of togetherness, because splitting up at night was a death sentence, and staying close to the flame was survival. So the fear didn't just make you cautious, it made you social. It pulled early humans into tighter groups, synchronized their sleep and waking near a shared fire, and rewarded the individuals who paid attention to danger cues others missed. Except there was a problem. Fire and proximity to others could reduce the threat, but they couldn't eliminate it. And the fossil record suggests the danger didn't fade quickly. It persisted for an extraordinarily long time. At Dragonbone Hill in Zhoukoudian, China, excavations beginning in the 1920s uncovered the remains of Homo erectus alongside enormous quantities of fossilized hyena bones, so many that some early researchers initially assumed the cave had been a hyena den, not a human one, with hominins as the meal rather than the tenant. Later analysis, including work published by paleontologist Noel Boaz and colleagues in the 1990s and 2000s, reinforced this reading. Many of the human remains bore carnivore gnaw marks consistent with predation, not burial. This wasn't an isolated incident hundreds of thousands of years in the deep past. It was a recurring condition. Across multiple sites spanning roughly 2 million years of hominin evolution, being hunted after dark was simply part of the environment you were born into, a variable your ancestors' brains had to solve for, generation after generation, or they didn't pass on their genes at all. That's the piece that should sit with you. Fear of the dark isn't a leftover glitch from childhood, and it isn't irrational. It's a formally accurate threat detection system, one that was tuned across roughly 2 million years by predators that no longer chase you through most of the modern world. The lion is gone. The leopard den is gone. The hyena pack outside the cave mouth is gone. But the wiring that once kept a hominin alive at Swartkrans, at Wonderwork, at Zhoukoudian, that wiring is still installed in you, running the same subroutine it always has, in a bedroom 1 million years and 10,000 generations removed from the cave it was built for. You're not imagining a threat when you tense up in the dark. You're hearing an alarm system built for a world that mostly doesn't exist anymore, still faithfully, uselessly doing its job.